Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. I am excited because we are here with a School's Over Now What classic as we revisit the iconic conversation from episode 43 with my guy, none other than David Meltzer. This guy has been phenomenal in my life since meeting him in 2019. We've done shows together. We've done IG Lives together. Such an amazing guy. But most importantly, this episode is really about defining your frequency. And we talk about how he lost millions, fam. He lost millions and gaining it all back. We also talk about learning your pursuit and learning that pursuit of happiness. And in this particular interview, there was a moment when he realized just how much power he had as a speaker when someone told him something that was forever memorable. Guys, I hope you buckle up, get ready to grab your pen, pad, paper, however you take notes, and enjoy this week's School's Over Now What classic with none other than the guy, David Meltzer. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here with my man, Dave Meltzer. How's it going, man? How's it going?
Awesome, Shawn. Thank you for coming.
Man, this is exciting for me. Like, you're somebody that I've been watching. You're the CEO of Sports One Marketing, 2-time best-selling author. Like, how does all this happen for you, man? It's crazy.
You know, it just is a pursuit.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. I don't even know. People say, I don't know what I'm doing. I go, I know what I'm doing, but I don't know where I'm going. I always say you can get from San Diego to Maine just looking at night, just looking 3 feet in front of you. So my view is always 3 feet in front of me, and that view is full of kindness. So I have a positive perspective of my 3 feet, and I'm consistently just trying to reach my potential. And how close to that 3 feet do I have to get, no matter what it is I'm trying to do?
So you're never saying to yourself, you know what, I want to look what's going to happen in the next 5 years. I'm looking at what's going to happen in the next 5 days.
It's so interesting because I do have certain visions of myself, like in 10 years, because my son's turning 18. So I'll think about a milestone or a trajectory, but I know the universe knows better than I do. I know that I'm pushed and moved in the right direction. And the older that I got and the things that happened in my life have moved me to trust it so that when, I come up with a well-developed plan and God laughs at it, I start listening to the laughter and saying, you know what? This is not a resistance. This is not a rejection. This is just the universe telling me there's something bigger and better that I just can't understand.
Wow. So, take me back to, you growing up. I want to know, what was childhood like for Dave?
Well, I grew up 6 kids, single mom, and really poor. My dad left when I was 5, and I just wanted to be rich. And here's the thing is, we were really poor. Packing your dinner in the station wagon so your mom can do her second job of filling up card turnstiles at the 7-Eleven. Greeting cards.
Wow.
Old school, right? But I was really, really happy. The only time I wasn't happy was when I catch my mom crying about money. Only time that there was any struggle or anything that wasn't happy, because there was so much love in my house. My siblings are extraordinary individuals, all went to the Ivy Leagues. My mom, a teacher. Everything was about education and love and family. But I would catch her when the car broke down. Too much pride to ask anybody for help.
Wow.
Which was something I carried on in my life, and it cost me greatly later on in my life because I never wanted to ask for help. Right? I saw that and I learned that, but I just wanted to be rich to buy my mom a house. And I wanted to buy my mom a car. I was tired of living in a 2-bedroom apartment with 6 kids and sharing a bathroom with all my brothers and 4 of us in 1 bedroom and sometimes food stamps, whatever it was to get by.
Yeah.
And I thought for sure that I was going to be a professional athlete, a football player. And that's how I was going to make a lot of money, even though my mom always told me, doctor, lawyer, or failure.
Oh, wow. So you had to pick one of those, right?
Yeah, that was it.
So for you, what's the greatest thing, what's the greatest lesson you think your mom ever taught you?
It happened. So I made millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I was a multimillionaire and I lost everything. And my mom, my whole life and my wife, by the way, kept saying, you're lost. And I'd look around in my huge homes and my Ferrari and my Porsche and my motorhome and my boat and all the money. And they were the ones always taking my money. I paid for my wedding. I paid for my wedding ring. And I'm like, who are you talking to that I'm lost?
Yeah.
And they would tell me that. And my ego got in my way so far, that I lost everything. Over $100 million portfolio that I lost. But the biggest lesson I learned from my mom was, when I claimed bankruptcy, I was already CEO of Lee Steinberg Sports Entertainment, most notable sports agency in the world, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't even worried about telling Lee that I lost everything, or Warren Moon, our business partner. I was more worried because I had to go over to my mom's house and tell her, doctor, lawyer, or failure. Her entrepreneurial son who bought her the house, the car, I almost enabled her I became her parent as I got older because I would give her so much out of guilt. Not only did I lose everything, but I had to tell her that I lost her house. I forgot to take her house out of my name.
Wow.
And so here's the lesson, though. My mom cries easier than me. You'll probably make me cry 3 times in the next 30 minutes. But I told her, Mom, I lost everything. I'm bankrupt and I made a huge mistake. I lost your house as well and you're going to have to move. And I thought in my head, to the floor, crying, how could you do this to me? Yeah. I knew, like the whole thing that the Jewish moms do.
Why me? Why now?
Exactly. Yeah. Like a Seinfeld episode. But it wasn't. She just looked me so calmly in the face and said, put her arm around me. Are you okay? Do you need anything? Can I give you some money? And that lesson to me was I was lost. That all those years that I attached my happiness to money, thinking money bought happiness, that my mom lived in a different world than I did, of more than enough. That's why my siblings were so successful. That's why I still have 50-year-old men come up to me today and tell me, your mom changed my life. I'm like, dude, my mom's a 2nd grade teacher. Yeah, I know. Your mom changed my life.
Wow.
Right? That's the power. And I started saying to myself, my mom has lived her entire life of service. Right? My mom has lived her whole life not attaching anything, although I perceived because she was upset, but she wasn't upset about the money. She was upset because she couldn't give more to her children.
Yeah.
Right? She was afraid.
Yeah.
But I had taken it as a lesson that money bought happiness. And what I learned that day was unconditional love. And I thought to myself, I've been born with a gift. There's no way I'm not making my money back. I was a millionaire 9 months out of law school. No way. But this time I was not going to be egocentric. I was going to be like my mother. I was going to truly wake up every morning and ask God, will you please put at least 10 people in front of me that I can help? My mom used to always say, you got to pray for people you can help. Elevate others to elevate yourself. All these different lessons that I don't listen to as a young man because I made so much money. I thought I knew everything and nobody else knew anything.
What's crazy about that is a lot of people, as they begin to make the money, they get the Rolex watches, they get the Ferraris, they seem to feel like invincible. Like for you, when you were broken at your lowest moment of all lowest moments, how did you get yourself back up to fight?
Yeah. So I spent one day depressed and I remember lying in bed without strength. And I said to myself, if I can look up, I can get up. I kept on telling myself, if I can look up, I can get up. And then I started convincing myself that money was not my God, that it was not my happiness. But money's important. And the reason money is important is it allows you to shop.
Yeah.
As long as you shop for the right things. And it's okay to shop for the wrong things and get rid of them. But I was constantly not only shopping for the wrong things, but surrounding myself with the wrong people. And worse, surrounding myself with the wrong ideas, which then carried all the wrong energy, which attracted to me all the things I didn't want. I was putting faith into what, and faith is a strong word to me. I was putting faith into what I didn't want. Mm-hmm. And what I've learned was when I was lying there in bed, depressed, looking up to what I was going to start putting faith in what I wanted. And what was it? I wanted to be happy. The funniest thing is when I built my huge home, I always was happy.
Yeah.
When I built my huge home, I had a Ferrari and a Porsche. I had a motorhome and a boat. I had anything and everything I wanted. I could buy whatever I wanted. I could take any trip that I wanted, anywhere that I wanted. And for the first time when I looked up, I was unhappy. I was empty, shallow, and unhappy. I had everything I ever wanted. Coming from a poor kid, you know what it was?
What was it?
I had lost pursuit. I had nothing to pursue. And, I'm friends with Chris Gardner, who they did the movie Pursuit of Happiness.
Pursuit of Happiness, yeah.
I'll get him on your great interview, right?
You got to have him. Yeah.
You got to get him in Chicago. But I remember telling Chris, look, man, that Pursuit of Happiness stuff is not true. And he's like, what are you talking about? I said, pursuit is happiness. When you're pursuing something, you're inspired.
Yeah.
And inspiration is in spirit. That's the definition of happiness. In fact, I expanded upon it that I believe the definition of happiness is the enjoyment of the consistent every day, persistent without quit, pursuit of my potential, my truth, not everybody else's truth. But I no longer was going to live worried about what I did. You know, I was so caught up into CEO of the first smartphone, CEO of Lee Steinberg, lawyer, all the millionaire, all that stuff. I was no longer what I was going to do. I definitely was no longer what I would have, right?
Yeah.
And most importantly, I was no longer what other people thought of me. I started realizing that I could get in front of 1,000 people on the stage and I had 1,000 reputations.
Wow.
But the one reputation I didn't know of was my own frequency, which is why I love your podcast, right? Because there's a frequency of the podcast, right? And that's why you attract all these people of the same frequency, because we can only be aware of that which vibrates equal to or less than you. So if you have a bigger, broader, stronger frequency with a stronger signal and a wider girth to it, you're going to have more people that they don't even know why. And we were talking earlier, we both have great casts, but it's not the most famous people.
Never.
I'm blessed to have all these superstars, but it could be the guy, Bin Laden's, they killed Bin Laden, right? Yeah. Or, just some random, I'll use Aubrey Marcus because he blew me away in my podcast.
I got to get him too.
Yeah, he's great. But you just never know.
Yeah.
And you say it could be the same person everyone else has.
Yep.
But if this podcast is different, right? I don't want to dwell on my whole story, rags to riches, rags to riches. Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah.
But you're drawing out of me stories nobody ever heard. Right? There's a frequency to that. And then all of a sudden, people aren't going to know why. I use the Field of Dreams because I believe the Field of Dreams, the baseball movie with Kevin Costner, if you build it, they will come.
Yes.
I believe the Field of Dreams is the field of intention. And what happens is if we put the right frequency out, if you build it, they will come. And so for me, the Field of Dreams is the field of intention. And my job is to put out that frequency, whether being interviewed by you or you being interviewed by me. I want the frequency to vibrate so fast that people don't know why they click on the picture or the meme. They don't know why they even went to their computer. How many times in our life do we not know why we turned around? Or you guys have seen it too. You go somewhere like, I don't even know why I'm here. But what my strongest speaking story was before I really made it big in speaking.
What was that?
Went to Michigan. It was a sports program. And I was always kind of conning the crowd by, I come in as the big sports agent, but I hit him with the spiritual stuff. that was my gig, right?
Totally different.
I'm a Bug Light guy. They're all looking for Jerry Maguire, and they got Deepak Chopra. It was awesome, right? That's what I would do. Unexpected. So it's like one of those days that's in between the fall and the winter where they already had snow, but then it heats up again.
Yeah.
So I'm at Michigan, great school, and it's a 70-degree day.
Oh, wow. Never happens.
And I'm thinking no one's going to show up to this speech, right? This sports management school or whatever it is at Michigan, packed crowd. And I'm channeling on stage. I'm on fire. The frequency, people are crying. I'm, telling the story. And afterwards, I just had written my book, giving away my book, which I, by the way, do for anyone. You DM me at David Meltzer. I will literally mail it and ship it. Pay for everything. I'm not going to get a free book, pay for shipping guy. I want everyone to have my book. That's how much I believe into it. Anyway, after I'm done now, I'm thinking everyone's going outside. No, line, right? Line out the door. They all want to talk to me, get a book, and I'm signing books. Finally get to the last kid. And I'm thinking, why would he wait here an hour and 15 minutes after I do an hour speech, with cute. And I'm just kind of looking down, going, what's your name? I look up and the guy says Shawn, for example, right? I'm like, is that AW? Yeah. And he kind of went, he said, Mr. Meltzer. I said, yeah. He said, I don't know why I came here. I said, did you not know me? Or he said, I have to be honest. He goes, I'm so glad I came. I was like, oh, thank you. He said, I was in my room thinking about killing myself. I was like, really? Well, that's never something you want to do. He goes, and I don't know why I came. He goes, I just saw this on my way to my room and I decided maybe I won't kill myself. I'll just go listen to this sports agent. And I like sports. He wasn't coming for an inspirational speech, right? I did the bait and switch on it.
Yeah, he switched up.
And now I can't look up because I'm crying and he's crying and he's like, you saved my life. I can't tell you. He goes, can I have one of your books? I'm like, yeah. And I wrote in it, be kind to your future self. do good deeds. If you ever need anything, and I gave my cell phone number. And I said, don't ever. I gave it to him. I said, look, I'm going to give you the book, but promise me that you'll never think about that again, that you'll call me first, because I will tell you that gratitude, empathy, accountability, and inspiration are the ways to live your life. And it's not anyone else's. There's nothing you can't be forgiven for. There's nothing. And so, like, we cried together. I gave him my book, and I looked to my publicist, Bradley. He was right out of college, just learning the game too.
Learning the game.
And I just said, I never have to, in speaking again, I never have to worry about it, because that's the one thing I always wanted to do. I wanted my words, my inspiration to change somebody's life completely. Like my wife and my mom did mine.
Yeah.
People always ask, if you didn't lose everything, where would you be? If you still were rich? I'm like, dead. I promise you. I was
the only way
on the road. Most of my friends ended up in rehab or dead. Not because we were in the hood, right?
Yeah, so much money.
Just bad stuff.
Yeah.
And I was on that road, and I know that my ego was so far my way that I would have been addicted to something. I would have caused, first of all, divorce would have been impending, losing my children, all the snowball effects of putting your faith into the wrong things.
Yeah.
And so I am so grateful. I know how that kid feels, because I feel the same way about my wife, and I feel the same way about my mom.
Hey guys, so let me take a guess. You're enjoying the show. And if that's right, please make sure that you take a screenshot of you listening to the podcast right now and tag me at Shawn R. Anthony _. I promise you this is going to help in amazing ways. And while you're at it, hit the 5-star rating and subscribe. With that being said, guys, let's get back to the show. So crazy you say that, because in what we do, a lot of times, like the blessings we've had, whether it's a DM or whether it's a message, it comes to us and we take it for granted sometimes. It comes so often. And I can relate to that story. We put up a podcast not too long ago, and a guy sent me a DM and said, this saved my life. And when it's a difference when you save somebody's life by channeling words, channeling motivation, channeling inspiration. And often for me, and I'm curious, it happens for you, is there times where you want to stop? Is there times where you're like, you know what? They've heard me a lot. They've heard my message. But is there times where you think about that one kid that waited in that line? Does that ever happen for you?
So I never want to quit, right? Because I believe in that enjoyment of the consistent, persistent side. But what does happen is I don't want to talk about the same things.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what does happen with that. I'm like, wait a second. There's 4 billion people and growing on the internet. Mm-hmm. And not everyone's heard my story. And not everyone's learned the lesson of, be more interested than interesting, or just because someone loves you doesn't mean they give you good advice, or be kind to your future self, or all the valuable lessons that I know that I have to do. And sometimes I feel like, God, for me, this is the basics.
Yes.
So what do I do to satisfy the expansive side of me? I continue to write books, right? I got a new book coming out June 14th from McGraw-Hill. I speak about different things. So for every paid speech I do, I make sure I do at least one free speech, right? Because I know if I'm not being paid, I can say whatever I want, right? I can say whatever I want.
Yeah, you can.
Right? And I love that. So I'll go and, this guy, we can't afford you, but we have, then I'm going to go from the heart. I'm not going to give the same, start out, the script. You got the big bio, and I'm always like, oh, my other brother's a doctor. That's how you start. And then it's like, so I was born with 5 kids, and I move differently because I do tell stories and channel lessons.
Yeah.
But I have to be able, and I love that you say channel, because everything comes through me. Mm-hmm. Right. And here's the philosophy of that. And I can tell, Shawn, you and I are soul brothers in this way. I know that my first look is up. Mm-hmm. So I connect or clean my connection to that which inspires me. And I draw with great power what I intend. And I do it by getting out of my own way. There's no need to be right, offended, anxious, guilty, resentful, any of the ego-based thing. When I can get to pure potential, I connect, I allow things to come to me, and then I appreciate them. So the first thing is thank you. Mm-hmm. Right? Whatever I'm receiving, even though in my perception it may be something negative or it's not on the plan or in my perception, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Bankruptcy, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for bankruptcy. Yeah, saved my life. Thank you. Thank you. It showed me the way. Thank you. And then what do? That's one appreciation. The second appreciation is How do I add value to that? And then give it away. Right? That's true appreciation. Receiving, most people don't have a problem giving.
Yeah.
They got a problem receiving. They don't know how to manifest or attract what they want, and they can't allow it to come through to channel it and appreciate it. Number one, they show resistance. They can't be grateful because their ego tells them that there's a fear of loss, there's not enough, or some scarce different philosophy or energy. And then moreover, they have no way to add value. Right? Your house appreciates, goes up in value. My ideas come through me. I add value to them. There's nothing new.
Yeah.
And one more thing too. So I'm on a roll.
I love it. Keep it coming.
Frequency. This is how you know you're on the right frequency.
How do you know?
When you can tell people on your podcast or on the stage the same thing that everyone has taught them for years. Let me give you an example. Gratitude. It may be one of the oldest concepts ever created. I bet if you go back into the Kabbalah, the Old Testament, the New Testament, the Book of Mormon, it talks about gratitude.
Yeah.
Your mom, grandma, whoever, I promise you talked about gratitude to you. Well, I'll stand on stage at a huge Fortune 500 company, thousands of franchisees or employees, and talk about the easiest way to change your life is to say thank you before you go to bed and when you wake up. I will tell them that if you do it for 30 straight days, that it will change your life. I will also tell them that I've studied physics, quantum physics, and metaphysics, and all the complex variables in the universe come to one thing. The easiest, cheapest, inexpensive way to change your life is simply to be grateful. And I will have people after my speech line up for an hour to tell me I changed their life because they're now going to say thank you. And I'm telling you, that's a frequency.
Yeah.
It has to be a frequency because let's be honest, who does not know thank you?
Yeah.
But why would it change their life so much? It must be a frequency that I'm carrying.
Yes.
That it's a seed that is ignited. It's something that we're connecting emotionally that moves you, inspires you to what? Be closer to your potential, the truth, love, gratitude, forgiveness. These are the truths. And they move people. And you know what? Most people are afraid of two things. One, to speak the truth. Because they think it makes them vulnerable.
Yeah.
If you go ahead and look at comments about me, right? Number one thing, man, you're so vulnerable. I appreciate your vulnerability. What they don't understand is the truth is invulnerable. When you're vulnerable, you take all the power of attack away from you.
All of it.
One of my business coaching things that I do, I tell somebody, it's like, I got into a little trouble when I was younger. I had an SEC violation. They took my license for this. I was disbarred, and I'm like, then when you start your meeting or you start your speech, start it this way. Hey, before we get started, I want to let you know something. I have a DUI. Before we get started, I want to let you know something. I got arrested for this. Before we start, I just want to let you know, I lost over $100 million portfolio. Because you know what happens to people? They don't tell you. And then you do business and a month later, they Google them like, oh my God, David Meltzer lost all that money. And now you've given them all the attack that they want. They're like piranhas, man. Yeah. All your credibility is gone. When you take all the energy out of it, right, now they're judging you because up front, you've told them, you don't want to do business with me. This is what I've done.
It's crazy. So you carry this frequency. And for people that are listening right now, I want you to realize I'm at Dave's home. The frequency and what we're talking about, the energy is crazy. So for you, I know people are very curious. How do you start your day? What does that look like for you?
So you got to have two different agendas, I believe, two different routines. And it seems obvious, right? Do the routine when you're at home and do the routine when you're on the road. People don't even do that. So for me, I shift things around. My morning starts the day before. What does that mean? Because I wake up at 4 a.m. People are like, how do you wake up at 4 a.m.? Alarm. I said, no. I wake up at 4 a.m. because what I do when I wake up is I immediately start thinking, what do I need to do today to make sure I wake up at 4 a.m. tomorrow? Right? So I'm using all my energy. I'm not drinking caffeine. All these different things that I'm doing are to prepare myself to wake up at 4 a.m. Not, so am I going to go and, drink or, stay up till 2 in the morning? No, because my goal is to wake up at 4 a.m. because I know the most valuable thing I can do in a day is wake up at 4 a.m. and then make my one prayer, which leads into my meditation. God put at least 10 people in front of me I can help. Boom. Into meditation. Why? Meditation gives me my baseline and elevates my vibration. I can only be aware of that which vibrates equal to or less than me. If I raise my awareness during the day, things are simple to me.
Yeah.
Whether to go left or right? Whether to buy or sell. whether I should do business or do a podcast or let someone come to my house on a Friday night when I have to go down to, right? It's all just awareness. And as long as I stay in that center and I know where that baseline is, then I have the routine. I go work out. I get back here by 6:30. I take care of my 8-year-old and my other daughter's 14. They need a little bit of help in the morning, but I take care of everything. I can have all the money in the world. I still enjoy making my son's breakfast, making the lunches, right? Making sure from 6:30 to 7:30, I'm 100% present to my children and my wife by helping her, especially. 7:30, I start I get in the car and I do 3 coaching calls, right? 3 coaching calls, and I go trace my calligraphy at work. And which is just an energetic thing. And then by that time, I'm ready to go in the workday at the office here. On the road, I stay on the same time zone. So if I'm in New York, I wake up at 7. If I'm in London, I wake up at 9 or I squeeze it a little bit if I go to Europe. But I stay on that time zone. I try to eat at the same times to keep myself in there. So, and let me preface every single thing that I've said. I always put on my signature line in my emails unconditionally. You ever got an email from me? It'll say unconditionally.
I got one of those.
It should say hypocritically because I only know what I know. This is my truth. This is what I'm trying to do, right? In the end, everything I say, I don't do every single day, right? I've had nights where I went out partying until 3 a.m. and I didn't wake up at 4 a.m. I'm trying to pursue my potential. But one thing that I'm better at than most people is when I find my center in the morning and I get off of center because life happens. I get mad. I get angry. I get scared. Whatever the reasons are, my first step now is to get back to center. My first step is sometimes physiologically and biochemically, it takes a little longer because something really upsetting happens or I'm tired or hungry or whatever it is. But it's so essential because my life is energetically led, meaning that I'm looking to save all the energy and use all the energy I can by providing value. That's why I can do so much in a day. I utilize my calendar with a lens of productivity and accessibility. How productive am I? How much value am I giving? And 2, how accessible am I? How accessible am I to people like you two? And moreover, how am I accessing what I want? And when we do this, when we're energetically driven, we start realizing, mistakes, for example. How much time do we waste, resources, relationships, and energy do we waste on mistakes? What can you do about a mistake? Nothing, except for learn from it. But we waste it. And even worse, we project it onto other people and we get mad at them for making mistakes. And we resent them for making mistakes. And meanwhile, there's nobody, and that's a little later in the day, there's nobody I know that's been alive today that hasn't made a mistake. But yet think how much time, energy, emotion, and resources we wasted either on our own mistake. That's why forgiveness is a truth. What if you were able to realize, okay, I made a mistake, go back to center, forgive myself because I can't give what I don't have. Okay, you made a mistake, go back to center, forgive myself. Why myself? Because I can give you forgiveness now. I'll never forgive you because you deserve it. I forgive you because I deserve it.
And it's so deep. And I think a lot of people, if they slow down, and this is the part, and I always talk about this, this is the part, if you've been listening to this podcast, you're like, you know what, I got to write this down. I got to do something with this message. Because I think the frequency we talked about, the energy we talked about, being able to align like what your day looks like so that you're always giving value is so important. Like when it comes to charities and being involved with charities and community, I know that's something that's very important to you. How do you go about picking some of those charities?
They pick me, but in the one that I'm the chairman of, the Unstoppable Foundation, like I told you, I'm a human being. So I remember the head of the Children's Miracle Network, which I worked with for years, Joe Lake. He's a legend of charity. That's one of the biggest charities in the world. He called me and said, Dave, can you help sell a table or give some signed autograph, collectibles to this woman? She's wonderful. I met her. She has this charity in Africa to help kids. And I said, yeah, sure. He's like, I'm going to set up a call for you. When's good? I said, I do my calls on the drive home. So, 5:15 is a good time. Just have her call my cell phone. I remember looking down when the cell phone rang and rolling my eyes going, it was just one of those days.
Yeah.
Oh, God. All right. So because I believe in being of value, I took the phone call and her frequency hit me. And she told me about her charity and how she started it on her 50th birthday. Instead of getting birthday presents, she started this charity, and she started telling me about what happens in Africa to 9th grade girls that, they're circumcised and sold off, like this, and how that's going to create an effect of the rest of the world because these women aren't educated. There's no water. There's no health care. There's no financial literacy. And, could I please help her? And I said, and it found me, it touched me. I wasn't planning on doing it. I said, I'd love to be on your board of governors and, fill tables or whatever. And she said, oh, that'd be great. Can I name you? We have Tony Gonzalez and you. And I said, all right, we do that. And everybody responded to me. And then the next year, she asked me if I would speak. And then the third year, would I be the chairman of her board? Wow. And for my 50th birthday last year, I did 50 birthday parties around the world. And I always say I went shopping last year and I bought 2 community centers in Africa, which make a lot of money, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun. I figure out systems to help. Even how do I respond to everyone? I figure out systems. How do I coach everyone? I figure out systems. I have a system to help any charity. Does that mean that I sit on the chairman of the board of all the charities? No. But I at least have a collectible, right, that I can get signed by one of the Hall of Famers that I market or come on, I always have something. I can donate my books. I can donate a coaching session. One of my biggest flattering things in my life was one of the biggest donations I made. I gave a day of shadowing and for me. And I'm thinking, wow, they have, Jack Canfield doing this and David Osprey from Bulletproof. Yeah. And, she's like, well, we'll probably get $5,000 for that. I'm like, someone's going to pay $5,000 to shadow me?
It's crazy.
That's crazy, right?
It's crazy.
4 people paid $10,000.
Oh my goodness.
And so here was a vulnerable, radically humble thing to do. And I literally had to fight my ego now. Right?
Yeah.
And then each of the people that come to my office to shadow me, it's opened up all these doors. I don't even know how to explain it to people when you live of service the best you can. Right? I will tell you this, just so people feel comfortable. I write a lot of checks to charity. I give a lot of time to charity. I donate a lot of collectibles to charity, whatever I can do. And I have to tell you, sometimes I get afraid. I got an 8-year-old, afraid that there's not enough. Even me, right? I try to give unconditionally still. That's my goal.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll write a check and worry like, oh God, I got 3 daughters, college, 4 kids in college and graduate school and weddings. And, I'm only 51 years old. I probably got another 60 years to live at least, holy, what if I'm giving all my money away again and I go bankrupt? I'm going to look like an idiot. Uh-huh. But then I go back to center and I say, man, I live in a world of more than enough. And when I live there, it always turns out better. And when I get out of the fearful, when I stop putting faith in there's not enough, when I put faith in there's not enough, I'm guaranteed to get not enough. Yeah. When I put full faith into more than enough, it just happens. And we talked about when we first started, before the podcast started. It's unbelievable, Dave. Like, people don't realize, like, you're doing this to help people share great ideas and frequencies, but you get more than anybody.
Yeah.
Right? More than anybody. You're here late at night with me and you're going to go get even more inspired. And then tomorrow morning, you're going to work out in, puke, it'll be fine. But this is like my 6th interview today, and I have 10 coaching calls a day, and I traveled LA and back and all this. I'm full of energy. Why? Because you came here, and most people in the old Dave Meltzer would have been like, sorry, man, you flew in from North Carolina. You were late. I can't meet you in my office. I have my family. But you know what? I got extra time with my son. We're going to finish this. I'm going to spend the rest of the time with my family tonight and the whole weekend.
Yeah.
But I am fully enthused. This is a gift.
Yeah. It's a gift for me. Because at the same time, and it's all about, it's close to frequencies. I knew that I wanted to have you on this show. And I knew that we were going to have a conversation where you were going to say things that you have not said on other podcasts. And you're doing that right now. And I know the audience that is listening, that listens to this every single week in multiple countries, will be impacted by having you on this show. So for that, I highly appreciate you. And I want to ask you the question that we've asked every single person that has ever stepped foot on this show. And that is, if you were that current college student, or you were somebody that dropped out of school, or you were somebody that, didn't know what to do next, and you were asking yourself the question of the show, School's over. Now what? What advice would you give?
That's simple. It's the same advice I give to myself every day. The advice is, David, you got to be radically humble. What does that mean? 2 simple questions in life. If you don't know what you're doing, which most people don't, if you're questioning what your next steps are, if you don't feel happy in the situation you're in right now, whatever the situation may be, if it's based on doubting the future, it's simple. Be radically humble. Surrender. What does that mean? 1, ask people how you can add value to their life. And 2, and this is the harder one, the one that carried energy to help me lose over $100 million, is learn this question. Excuse me, but do you know anyone that can help me? I'm looking for this. Do you know anyone that can help me? You're giving a gift. When you're asking someone, do you know anyone that can help me? You're not necessarily asking that person, but it's included. But do you know anyone can help me? I want to learn about finance. Do you know anyone can help me? I'm really hungry. Do you know anyone can help me? I don't know what to do next. Do you know anyone to help me? What do you enjoy? Right? When I'm asking how I can provide service, people ask, do you actually say that? I said, sometimes I do. How can I be of service? Look at DMs, man. How can I be of service? I ended up on this podcast probably because I'm like, how can I be of service?
Yeah.
But more importantly, it's really, how can I provide value? Well, how do you figure that out? Simply, what are you doing today, man? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? And if you can listen to that and determine the reasons that they're doing it, the impact that they want to have or are having, or the capabilities they have or want or need, you can provide value to everyone. When I give money now, and I do, guys on the street, I used to just, I said I always I relinquish my rights. In other words, I don't care what you're saying you're going to do with money. I'm relinquishing my rights. Go do what you want to do with it. Now I double it and I say, I'm relinquishing my rights to you. God bless you. This, I'm not. This is here. This is for you to go give to somebody else. You promise me you'll give this to somebody else? That's all I'm asking. I relinquish my rights. Buy booze, buy drugs, get the blanket. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Don't tell me, but I'm relinquishing the rights. This is my gift to you. But do me a favor. Go give this to somebody else. The reason I do that is that it's one thing energetically when you help somebody. And it makes them feel good. But there's a lot of different energies that are included. Shame, blame, justification. There's a certain thing when you give somebody money or help them, they don't feel good about themselves. But if you can create an equilibrium with that, a balanced energy of, look, I'm going to give you this because I know you need help. But let me give you the bigger gift. You're going to give this to somebody else because that feels really good. I had one guy tell me, I haven't taken my mom out. And I'm like, really? And I gave him $20. I said, hold on a second. Let's go in there. We went into the convenience store and I bought a gift card to Chili's for $100.
Wow.
And I said, now you can take your mom out a whole bunch of times. He just started crying. Like, I gave him money for him, right? The energy wasn't the same as when I gave him $100 to go take his mom to lunch a few times.
The ability to tap into that, to tap into just the fact that somebody giving something to someone else would touch them more, to be able to recognize that and to be able to put that to other people, I mean, that's impressive.
Well, that's why the 2 words that, everyone says, what word would you patch? I have on my nightstand every day to remind me, radically humble. Be radically humble. Because that ego, if you're radically humble, you're in the center. That ego gets in our way. And I fight it every day. I want to stress this to everybody. I get all these people, they see videos and they think you're always like that.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I got 3 teenage daughters, man. I get pissed. But I get back to center and I want, and yeah, I've made mistakes in the past. It's okay. I forgive myself. When I get angry, I forgive myself and I move on. I just don't waste the energy anymore because I want to use my energy to help other people, empower others to empower others to be happy. And you only can do it if you're humble.
Man, that's advice to give, man. I just want you to know, like, if somebody wants to find you right now, how do they do it? Where are you located? Just give them all your info.
Yeah, so at David Meltzer, Instagram, David Meltzer on Twitter, LinkedIn, David Meltzer as well. Easy to find with the David Meltzer. I'm not Dave Meltzer. I have DaveMeltzer.com, but Dave Meltzer is the wrestling guy, just to warn you all. But at David Meltzer, I will be happy to send anyone my books. I'm happy to help anyone. if I can't help you, I'll find someone that can. That is truly what I'm here for, to be of service. And I want to inspire you to do the same. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. There's no big deed or small deed. Do as many deeds as you can.
Guys, for those of you who've been listening, always remember, dream it, believe it, go out and get it. Dave, it's been a pleasure, man.
Bam.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, Shawn.